Hey everybody, this is Dust for Dust on Gaming. A little bit of red-black aggro in modern, or standard actually. So, total fact, working on the qualification for local game store. I'll be playing blue-white approach for most of the season. Person that is leading the standings, his name is Jeremy, not going to give his full name out, is playing red-black aggro. This is not, from what I've seen, his exact list, but it's something similar. There's a couple different variants of red-black you can run. You can run like Bowmat Couriers, Inventor's Apprentices. This deck is kind of a more mid-range version. It's something I'm interested in taking a look at. Obviously, it's one of the better performing decks in the standard format right now, in the early part of Dominaria Standard. This is somewhat similar to Mono Red, but you have a little more staying power. You have Bowmat Courier, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Heart of Curon for your early aggression, backed up by things like a Braid, Cut to Ribbons, and Unlicensed Disintegration. So you can certainly put a lot of pressure on your opponent early out of the gate, and then back it up with things like Pia Nalar, Goblin Chain Whirler, Chandra, and Karn give you a very powerful Planeswalker presence in the mid-game. Rekindling Phoenix can be an enormous pain in the hind end to kill, especially when your Vraska's Contempts, if players are even still running them, are stretched thin, or like if I'm playing blue-white control, like my counter spells and my cast outs are stretched thin, and then Walking Ballistas and the Ribbons part of Cut to Ribbons gives you a little bit more reach. The scary part about this deck, at least from the little bit of blue-white I've played so far, is the sideboard of this deck is just truly insane against control. Like, you've got Duresses, Doomfalls, Liliana, Argyl's Bloodfast, Treasure Map. You have a lot of things to bring in against control. Even Vraska's Contempt if you suspect your opponent's doing a transformational sideboard. And then you have a little bit more for the aggro matchups. You got a couple Magma Sprays and a Braid, and then a couple Siege Gang Commanders. I'm presuming these are mainly in matchups where you're suspecting your opponent's going to go wide, or you need to clog up the ground, get to the mid-game against things like Hazaret and such. Not 100% certain on these Siege Gang Commanders. Obviously, a lot of different variants. We'll go over like some of the variants at the end on MTG Goldfish. But wanted to get in a few matches with this deck, get a feel for kind of what the top dog of Standard in my local meta is playing. Obviously, it's not the same card for card. He's running Inventor's Apprentices. I think in some of the videos that from a PTQ he was playing Siege Gang Commander in the main, so I'm not exactly sure on his list, but this is something similar to what he's playing. So shout out to Jeremy, good job at the PPTQ, and gonna be playing a deck something similar to what you're playing and probably slaughtering it, because that's what we do around here. Alright, so so far this standard season, I've played like one match with white-black tokens, which we'll get back to in a bit. I've played like 4 or 5 matches with blue-white control. Beyond that, I definitely need to get into the format more. Really awesome news, finally got the invite to the MTG Arena beta, so we'll be getting into that soon too, possibly later this evening. But I wanted to get a few events in actual Standard going on. Modern's taking a bit of a backseat right now. We need to start ramping up for Grand Prix Pittsburgh here, which is about a month and a half. I already have the deck I'm playing. I'm playing blue-white approach, blue-white control. Just a matter of getting the right cards, getting the right build of the deck. But I do want to get a feel for the rest of the format. Definitely, so taking a look at MTG Goldfish while we're waiting on the queue. Top dogs, according to results, are Mono Red Aggro, Blue White Control, Red Black Aggro, White Black Aggro, White Black Vehicles, which I guess we're going to take a look at the 2 variants of that. Blue-white historic, mono-green Stompy, another blue-white historic, Goblin Gift, green-black Constrictor, Sultai Energy, and Bant Midrange. So, a lot of very interesting decks. According to Classic from Baltimore, had white-black aggro, red-black aggro, blue-white historic, mono-green aggro, blue-white control, Bant midrange, and then Wizard Prowess, interesting deck. White-red midrange, blue-black midrange popping up again. That was kind of the deck that Matthew Folks was using to tear things up. But we'll finally get into the queue, so let's see what kind of shenanigans we can get into here. Alright, so we'll be on the play, which is a good place for the aggro deck to be. That said, for an aggro deck, this is not a very aggro-y hand. I think we'll go ahead and keep it. We've got a couple pieces of interaction. Maybe interaction's not where we're supposed to be in this, especially against mono green. Possible against mono green. I'm supposed to be the aggro deck, but desert doesn't necessarily mean mono green, I guess. We possibly up against... I have no idea. Very slow start from our opponent either way, so... Not sure... Okay. Champion, sure. Cycle this slew here. Okay, Scrounger is not a bad card to get. Go ahead and hit Steel Leaf Champion out of the way. Scrounger's a little late to the party, and we are flooding out pretty decently here. So, looks like it's some type of green aggro deck, because you don't play Steel Leaf Champion without a very heavy commitment to blue here, or green. All the Forgotten Pharaohs. Planeswalker active this ability if you control a desert, or if there's a desert in your graveyard. Alright, that's an interesting one. Bomat Courier. Play out the Courier. Start attacking here. Trigger. I'm supposed to unlicense to try to get this out of the way and risk our opponent having see if they use something like Blossoming Defense preemptively. Nope, just cycling a desert, so you're willing to let your wall die. Okay. Finish off your wall. Okay. defensive card here. Drop our opponent to 7. Still not entirely sure what the heck our opponent's deck's trying to do. Very slow. Huh. It's giving it some thought. So, tie crop skirmisher. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs. See if I can see any decks with nope, no decks found. Alright, so I guess we'll go ahead and bring in a couple of Doomfalls. Maybe shaving a braid. Shave a Question is, what's the other card we shave for Doomfalls? Yeah, it's just a walking ballista. Doesn't feel like ballista's gonna do a ton in the matchup. That still leaves us with 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 token generator, or 17 artifact generators. So, try it like that. Thought I jumped into the 2-man queue. Did I just jump into practice room? I didn't think so. No, I jumped into the... Okay. Just making sure it wasn't... Like, I'm not trying to discount our opponent's deck, but I just wondered if I jumped into the practice room by chance. Of course, that said, I guess our opponent could always destroy us. I'll keep this hand. Seems reasonable. The Matt Courier on 1. Heart on 2. Scrounger on 3. Really would like to draw a black source at some point here. Okay, sure. Heart of Kiron. So one of the swamp does make our chain whirler a little bit awkward. Wow. Or if this gets countered. Do have to leave one empty mana on the table, which kind of sucks. Or one unused mana, I should say. Heart of Kiron. This is... I still feel like this is a card that should see play in Modern. Like maybe some type of mid-range Super Friends list? Sure. Opponent going for the tap all your Shazam version of things. And of course, that being said, if our opponent does manage to deal with this Chain Whirler, we are running out of creatures, so to crew hard. Do have a Ballista that's slowly getting there. Wow, okay. Unlicensed Disintegration. Nope. Alright, so go ahead and get this Ballista out there for 2. Alright. Crew the heart. Sure. Not sure why you wouldn't have played that, but, you know, whatever. It's possible we should have played the Canyon Slough out, but sure. Okay, so you're dead. Alright. I was just like thinking like maybe we were not in the 2-man queue. Very bizarre match, kinda hard to tell much from that one. Waiting for more players. So anyways, that deck was interesting. Not sure what to make of a blue-green Desert's Hold deck. Guess I'd like to play first. Guess we'll keep this hand. Hope Goblin Chain Whirler's good. Plan on cycling Canyon Slough. So swamp, go. Kind of hard to tell from that. Alright. Sure. So we're up against sapperlings. So sap migration. Interesting deck. So feels like the budget magic special. Let's take a look, see what was in that deck. Kinda learning on the fly here, so I apologize that we're not the most interesting and informative at this stage in the game. Wizard Burn, Sapperlings. I feel like this is the Saffron Olive list. Yeah, feels like it. Slimefoot. Yavimaya Shepherd. So kill that. I'd probably trade for Bowmat Courier in a heartbeat here, but we're just gonna keep pressuring them with Chain Whirler for now. Karn, huh? Definitely should have Chain Whirlered last turn. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go ahead and start establishing Karn here. Took him up. Probably getting Scrounger would be my guess, right? Yep, unsurprising there. Continue pressuring our opponent. Oh, sure. Okay. Definitely got the blowouts there. Oh boy. Man, this deck gets out of control quickly. think our opponent might have the non-budget deck version of the deck going here. Yep, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Alrighty. So, how do you board against that nonsense? Ballista's fine, Cut the Ribbons is fine, Chandra's alright, Phoenix is okay, Karn's a little eh. Problem is, like, a lot of our deck in general is pretty decent against them, but Mimics, Ballad, Slimefoot, Shepherd, Tendershoot Dread, that's Fatal Push, Supple Migration, Spore Swarm. Is the kind of matchup we want Siege Gangs in? Not sure that's really the game we want to play. Cuts. Maybe one boat mat for that. Try it like this. This is a very... go from one extreme to the other of decks. Pass. Card's not bad, but I'm not sure that it's good either, so. Especially when our opponent's kicking out 2/2s like that. Yep. Get slime put out of there. Sapperlings are certainly scary. Let's go ahead and play the Phoenix. Our swamp being in our hand is not the best place, that's for sure. 2 Field of Ruin, huh? You have that, a Fatal Push, more power to you, I guess. Like having to 2.5 for 1 for yourself to get rid of this doesn't feel good, probably. Guess you could have Vraska's Contempt here, but I figured you would have cards that have access to Mountain and Scrounger. Okay. That's obnoxious. Pass and pray, I guess? Die to lethal. It was a very interesting match. So, Spore Swarm is an instant. Good to know. Certainly don't want to underestimate that deck. Deck went 4-1 for Saffron Olive. And I've played against a variant of it with blue-white control. So it might be something we'll have to try at some point. Deck seems very interesting. But we're here to play red-black, not reminisce about Saprolings here. That reminds me, need to make that change and get the other Siege Gang in here. It only has 14 cards on the sideboard because we didn't have the other Siege Gang Commander. Alright, so Might be a little early. See, I just don't want to get paired against the tokens guys while I'm waiting for someone to jump in the queue. It's not a matchup I desire to play against again. 2, 3. Come on, somebody, jump in the queue already. Alright, great soccer man. Alright, alright, alright. Alright, this hand seems reasonable. I mean, we have the second heart, which may not be optimal, but it's reasonable. Because we haven't really played against a removal-based deck yet. Mirror match, perhaps? Heart of Chiron. Go ahead. Haven't seen Ether Hub in a minute. So I guess I just play out Scrounger here. I mean, they can kill Heart either way, so it's not really... Sure? Up against Grixis Energy, maybe? Yep. Grixis Energy. I'm intrigued. Not sure what they're trying to play here, but... Doomfall. Target opponent reveals their hand. Okay. Grixis Control, perhaps? Probably losing the Heart here, I would guess. So this matchup has me intrigued. Definitely feels like, okay, took the Chain Whirler. Play out this Heart of Chiron. Past our opponent here. Karn Daddy, huh? Sure. It's unfortunate we don't have another land to punish them here, but, you know, whatevs. Yeah. Sure. All these Karns and nowhere to go. This doesn't smell like a Torrential Gearhulk. Okay, sure. Looking for a negate, maybe? Alright, it's an interesting timing on that. Sure. Guess we try to jam Karn here. Probably getting a mountain here. Cut to ribbons. They have no end of turn. Okay. Chandra. Yeah, saw that one coming, right? Sure. Like to see your opponent get out of this one. Alright. So, Grixis control, huh? Huh. Okay, sure. So, only 3 matches played. The short thing I would say about the deck, seems like Control is a pretty, at least that version of Control is a pretty decent matchup. Feels like the Swarm decks could be a bit of an issue. Things like tokens, possibly vampires. If you can't get, your chain whirlers aren't enough against things like all the various Anthem effects. So if your chain whirlers can't deal with the token effects like Saprolings and such, matchup could seemingly be an issue, especially with cards like Radiant Destiny running around in the vampires lists. Certainly could be certain circumstances where that matchup could be tough. Kind kind of hard to say what was going on with that blue-green mid-rangey deck that our one opponent was playing, but that certainly felt like a fairly decent matchup. I mean, obviously. But 3 matches in the books, 2-1. There were certainly some mistakes made in the Saproling matchup. Unfamiliarity with what some of the cards did, like Spore Swarm, end of turn, getting 3/1/1s, and then playing Tendershoot Dryad and just like absolutely obliterating us. Deck's pretty good. I mean, obviously, 2-1, and the one match we did lose was kind of like punts on my part for not playing my cards right. Still may have been able to overpower us, kind of hard to say. Obviously, this isn't the only version of the deck. Like, this is the version specifically that we're playing by Magnificent Magikarp. Obviously, 2 CGN commanders, pretty balanced sideboard. Only 1/1 drop. See if I can find a version that's playing like Inventor's Fair here. Yeah, like this version, like Walking Ballista, Bomat Courier, Inventor's Apprentice, Scrounger, Pia, Hazoret, Rekindling Phoenix, couple Chandras. You know, they're all playing a lot of the same cards. It's just a matter of like what cards do you think best fit your strategy and your meta. Like Karn there seemed pretty good against control. Chandra is already pretty decent against control, and Grass seems interesting. A lot of different ways to build the deck. It still feels like in this version might be a little bit better set up, but they're not running Chain Whirler, so this version feels like it's a little more aggressive with Hazoret and Rekindling Phoenix. So I guess it all depends on like what your cup of tea is, like how you want to build the deck. Seems like there's a lot of customization to this red-black archetype, kind of like there's the vehicles and the tokens version of white-black aggro, even though they're operating with a lot of the same tools. So, standard format looks like it's really fun. It's still pretty open so far. So, hopefully when we get down into it, we'll be able to have some fun. But I'm going to sign off for tonight. I'm getting pretty tired here. Couple sloppy mistakes there. Long day, started at 5 a.m. for me. It's closing in on 12:30 a.m. So, thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. Hope you enjoy this content over on the YouTube channel. If you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider liking and subscribing. Help the channel grow. Gonna be playing bunch of standard, bunch of modern going forward. Probably slanting more towards standard as I'm getting ready for Grand Prix Pittsburgh. I'll be playing blue-white approach. Still kind of working out the details on what cards still need to obtain. Probably, I think the only card I probably need to obtain is like Teferi and maybe like a flash sideboard. Still debating that point. I have like the Lyras. I have the majority of like the deck otherwise. So, still got some cards to acquire, but still got to work on the best version of that deck as well. But as for red-black aggro, maybe tomorrow night or a future night we'll play something more like this. Slightly more aggressive version of the deck with the 8/1 drops as opposed to just the 4. I don't know if I want 8/4 Walking Ballistas in the deck, but, you know. Deck's in pretty interesting, quite a bit of flexibility. So, thanks for tuning in, and hope you enjoy our content here on the channel. This has been Dusk for Dusted on Gaming.